Well, hello there. I'm Lost Pool, and welcome back to year 5 of the Wild Territories. And oh man, have I been busy this month. Not just with all the ClanGen stuff, but with Minecraft as well, and I'm also working on a new D&D campaign, so I've had to put a lot of my free time into that. And I've just been struggling a bit with my drawing motivation because of that, so let's hope this comes out on time. But enough of my issues. ClanGen. The Wild Territories have faced a lot of death this year, so we'd better hop right into WinterClan's dead. And quick little trigger warning, Warrior Cats video. There's gonna be blood and murder and all of that fun stuff. As well, I got a new mic for this video. It is a lot more sensitive than my old setup and I'm still getting used to it. So if the audio's a little funky in some sections, I'm so sorry. That's why. I'm gonna try and get used to it here soon. Starting with Deer Snout, who was actually murdered. What really sucks is she was murdered 2 moons after accepting Fennelmoth's feelings and becoming mates. I was so excited for my cute little gay girls, or, well, bi in Deer Snout's part, but that's not alliteration. I was just so sad to see one of them die almost instantly. And quick pit stop into the dark forest for the cat who killed her. Frecklefluff really decided to live up to that whole looks like marsh thing as she murdered her former mentor in broad daylight. Deer Snout had been trying to comfort Frecklefluff, assuring her she's not as hated as she seems to think, and Frecklefluff took that wrong and turned and killed her. In-game, I sent Freckle on one last solo patrol before exiling her where she got overrun by rogues, but I think it makes more sense if Fennelmoth chased her out and Frecklefluff died of her injuries, joining the Dark Forest with her grandmother. Next is someone I was not expecting, Firestripe. Firestripe was out on a patrol with some others when they found Mimic Clan scent over the territory, following it to find one of their cats, Vixen, up a tree. Vixen tried to yowl out a warning, but it was too late as Firestripe still got bit really bad by the wolf that had chased her over the border. Though they got him free and he lived through the attack, the bite quickly got infected and he succumbed to the infection just as fast. Our next death is Short Talon, who died of just a heart attack, which, well, sad. I'm glad she got a normal, fairly peaceful death instead of going in a mass extinction or a fire or something. Speaking of fire, our next 3 deaths are from a fire generator. The territory was really dry this year, so it's not surprising there was a fire, truthfully, but it definitely wasn't one set intentionally, unlike another fire we'll talk about later. But our first death of this fire was BB, who was just too old to escape the flames fast enough. He had been suspicious of Ashglade earlier in the year, who seemed to be worsening arguments instead of helping. He then walked away from Short Talon's vigil, wondering why anyone would mourn such a useless cat. Which, rude, but they did hate each other pretty vehemently by that point. So I guess it's really not that surprising. The other 2 fire deaths are personally sad for one reason in particular. Bassfern and Cedar Chest both died in the fire, meaning Civetheart lost her last brother and apprentice at once. Admittedly, this fire was early, so they didn't have much time to do much beforehand. Cedar Chest earned her warrior name at 12 moons old, being honored for her risk-taking. And Bassfern dying means Civetheart is officially the last living kit of Tail on Nittle and Bloodstar. Our next 4 deaths are all from a yellow cough outbreak that swept through camp, the first of which was sadly Brambleroot. Brambleroot has had the worst luck. It seems like he was constantly getting hurt and injured. And going out to sickness was both depressing and kind of anticlimactic, especially since he'd been so cute earlier, letting Violet Paw boss him around on a patrol, just happy to help the Medicine Cat apprentice however he could. Next was 2 little kits, children of Axel and Jayflit. And before we actually get into them, we had so many young deaths this year. And I hate kit deaths so much. I hate seeing them in StarClan, so it made me think of Draconator's video about the spirit suffix, and I've decided to start using it. So any cat that dies before earning their warrior name will get their own post-mortem naming ceremony, giving them the warrior name of Spirit. Not just to help them get into StarClan, but also so they don't have to always be kits in StarClan. I like to think they grow up eventually with this name. So, introducing Pine Spirit and Ashen Spirit, who died at 2 moons old. Pine Spirit was a noisy little girl, and Ashen Spirit a know-it-all boy. They do have 2 other brothers still alive at the moment, but these 2 died so young they really didn't get to do much. I hate kit death. Their warrior names would have been Pine Belly and Ashen Path had they made it that far. And our last Yellowcloth death this year was Cloud Spirit, one of Basilbur and Daffodil Wing's second litter, who died at 10 moons old. She was a super fluffy kit and had been apprenticed to Brave Burst for a few moons, actually refusing to listen to Brave Burst's advice, before managing to pull off the fighting technique perfectly anyways. And then she got sick and went so quick. Her warrior name would have been Cloud Chaser, which would have been super cute, but she still does have 1 living brother around. And we had 1 more final death, but it's a big one. Has Warbler Star died this year? She just kept losing lives this year. She'd been attacked by rats in the prey pile and lost a life to the resulting infection, then fell into a badger den and lost another life, and then on the second to last moon of the year, she fell into a sinkhole and lost all of her remaining lives. Yeah, she died on a time skip and there was nothing I could have done about it. But with Warbler Star's death, WinterClan has a new leader. So before we get into the living cats, let's stay in StarClan for a leadership ceremony. Svettheart is nervous about closing her eyes, murmuring hesitantly, "Do you really think I'm ready for this?" Violet is quiet for a moment before purring softly, "You tell me what a good medicine cat I am every day, and you're far more ready than I was. I believe in you." Svet smiles softly, pressing her nose against Violet's. "I'll be right here, though I'm not the only one watching." "They won't hurt us," Svet assures her, having seen the large yellow eyes peering out from the caged wilds as well on her way here. But Kara doesn't scare her, so she sets her head down, back to sleep. When she wakes, she can't hold back the gasp, seeing the cats lined up in front of her, stars glittering in all of their pelts. Svettheart nearly sobs as Kinkshade bounds forwards, embracing her twin warmly, purring, "I'm so proud of you, Siv. You're gonna be amazing. I've been allowed to grant you your first life, a life for good judgment, to not go rushing into unnecessary danger." Svettheart tries not to flinch as the life hits her, feeling as sharp as a wolf's fangs. The tears Kinkshade had brought slip from her eyes as she sees who comes up next. She tries to mumble out an apology to her other sister for getting her killed, but Sprigclove cuts her off with a gentle purr, licking Svet's head as she assures, "You didn't get me killed. I rushed in, so I'll grant you this life for courage. Have the courage to face threats, no matter how large." This life rushes through Svet like a shot of adrenaline, leaving her fur standing on end and her breath ragged. Svet looks up as she steps away, looking for her final sibling. She tries not to show her disappointment as her apprentice steps up instead, Cedar Chest smiling as she touches her nose to her head. "I grant you this life for pride, as I was so proud to be your apprentice. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor." This life swells in her chest and nearly brings back the tears before Svet manages to regain herself. Brambleroot comes up next, gentle with his touch as he hums, "This life is for endurance. Endurance to take any hits and keep getting back up." For a moment, Svet feels like she's in battle, blood dripping from her pelt and body weak with exhaustion, practically gasping as Brambleroot whispers for her to take care of his sister before moving back for the next cat to take his place. That cat being Deersnout. Her fur seems to be endlessly on end here. Perhaps she hasn't settled into StarClan just yet. She comes to whisper shakily, "I grant this life for knowledge. Knowledge to know how to help your clan. To know what you need when you need it." This life leaves only a faint buzzing in the back of Svettheart's head. Shaking it, Deer Snout seeing her discomfort and assuring her they're almost done before she slips away. Short Talon seems younger and stronger than Civet Heart has ever seen her, confidence in her form as she chirps. This life is for foresight, to use your past to see your future. Civet being taken off guard by the flashes of rushing rivers and roaring fires. She wants to ask Short Talon more, but the once elder is already gone by the time she opens her eyes. She almost chokes on relief as she sees him finally stumble forwards. Her brother Bassfern, his same gentle smile on his face, practically tripping over 2 kits as he embraces her, laughing softly. This life is for compassion. Compassion enough to grant to everyone and everything. He looks down as he apologizes. Sorry I didn't come up with our sisters. I had to wrangle these 2. His tail nudging forwards the 2 kittens. Pine Spirit and Ashen Spirit both bounding up to place their paws on hers, talking over each other as they announce their life. This life is for health, so you can stay healthy and keep running and playing and exploring, and not let anything keep you down. Civet can't tell if it's the life or the kits, but she feels like laughing and bouncing with them as they bound away. But that's stopped as Warbler Star steps forwards, smiling to her heir for just a moment. But it's obvious by how she pauses she's deep in thought. Her eye trails over Civet before she takes a deep breath and touches her nose to Civet. With this final life, I grant you the same life I was given, to pass on the burden and honor of protection. Civet feels nothing from this life, which in and of itself makes her pelt tingle with an ominous feeling. Warbler Star calls out in her loud, steady voice, seemingly unaware of Civet's unease. StarClan welcomes Civet Star as the new leader of WinterClan. Your old life is no more, and you are now to move forwards and use these lives wisely in service to your clan. Only adding on in a near whisper as the others cheer her name. Take my advice. Choose an heir quickly. Before the StarClan cats start to fade, their calls ringing in her ears. For a moment, Civet Star relaxes, but yet she still feels like she's being watched. Looking over her shoulder, she's surprised, but hums softly. Oh, did you come to see your siblings like I did? So, welcome to our new leader, Civet Star. I did not see this coming, and I don't think she did either. But she had been so active earlier in the year, charging forwards on a border patrol unafraid, then was chattering at birds, showed an apprentice how to track, actually showing off her heightened sense of smell. Then she actually had Pale Pelt in her dreams the night before the death of Warbler Star. And I promise, we're going to check back in with the Caged Wilds next year. There just has been so much going on with Civet and WinterClan for a while now, it hasn't been her priority, or really mine. Alright, this is gonna be fun. Meet our current heir, Cotton Kit. Okay, let me explain. No one was really standing out for heir this year. No one was getting any signs or visions. And no one in StarClan really wanted to talk to anyone except Cotton Kit, who had Birch wanting to warn him and Snapdragon Bounce walking in his dreams. Not to mention his trait, Restless Sleeper, which was weird enough I looked it up, and apparently turns into Dreamwalker. So, little baby has dreamwalking abilities. And it came to me that Cotton Kit sneaks into Civet Star's leadership dream to see his siblings. And here he is now. I did say it could be a kit before. And into our council, which has had a rough year all around this year. Starting with our council lead, Branch Snarl. Branch Snarl did lose her brother this year, which was heartbreaking, leading to her snapping at Violet Paw when she tried to boss her around on a patrol. But then she just started chasing things. Chasing a dog off the territory on her own, then another moon later with Luckpaw. Then they chased a very angry rogue off of Vinepaw later as well. Honeyfin herself spent a large chunk of this year mourning for BB. The two had been incredibly close and his loss hit her hard. Which is kind of ironic, because at Warbler Star's vigil she was actually relieved Warbler was dead. Again, rude! But she'd spent the rest of the year doing apprentice duties to lighten the load, and failing to chase a dog off of the territory. And poor Talon Nettle lost another kit in the fire this year, actually getting burned to save Bassfern. She did get Vinepaw to earn his warrior name and then was instantly handed another apprentice. Definitely one of the clan's most trusted mentors by this point. Then she got a very funny event where she snuck onto a truck and stole a stuffed animal that looked like fresh kill. I kinda wish someone in Clamber Clan would get this event, but it was still so funny to see. Violet Tuft earned her full medicine cat name this year at 17 moons old, being honored for her compassion. And she had a pretty rough year, still trying to hold down the medicine den on her own since... one guess where Basilbur is. But she did have so much fun as an apprentice, bossing around older warriors on every patrol. To varied results. I love her so much, but she has been struggling so much on her own, only having Basilbur for a few moons. Evident by how late she earned her name and how many cats passed of illnesses and infection this year. But she still is peppy as always. Ashglade has been an absolute menace this year. BB wasn't wrong, he's been causing a lot of arguments, specifically when it comes to Rippleclaw. So many times. But this man also casually insulted Cloudkit when she was still a newborn, and was also seen taking a piece of fresh kill specifically because Vinepaw wanted it, which is honestly probably the least egregious, as I took that to be more of a brothers thing than hostile. Into our warriors. Actually, starting with Fennelmoth. Man, she used to be one of the youngest cats in the clan. Now she's one of our oldest warriors. Time is rough for WinterClan. But, as we mentioned, she became mates with Deersnout this year, actually stealing prey from OceanClan on the same moon, giving Deersnout a heart attack, before Deersnout was killed. Fennelmoth wailing at her vigil, never assuming the ever-cautious Deersnout would join StarClan before her. And really, I don't think Fennelmoth has recovered from her loss. She's been so out of it, even after getting back to duties. Getting buried by branches on one patrol and Branch Snarl having to dig her out, then almost getting hit by a monster on another patrol. Poor girl is going through it. On the other end of the spectrum, Jayflit has been so cute this year. He had a super cute practice date with Axel where he felt free and was caught admiring their pelt. He was so excited to be a father and has been doting on his kits. He also got Jay feathers this year from Daffodil Wing, I think as a welcome to the dad club gift. And then the idiot went sneaking into a badger den and nearly got eaten. Really ending on a low note there, Jayflit. Poor Braveburst was definitely hit the most by their brother Firestripe's death, having been closest with him, feeling like none of their siblings are taking the death as hard as they are. They've spent most of the year numb and shut down in their grief. Once they finally did get back on their feet, they still weren't great, diffusing tension on a border patrol with a joke at their own expense. I hope they can cheer up next year. And Rippleclaw has been fighting a lot this year, but luckily he's only been fighting predators, getting into a scuffle with a fox on his own at one point and getting away uninjured. Then he came nose to nose with a badger after sneaking into its den and barely got away in time. Then he got into a fight with a dog and got one of his ears torn, until a kitty pet showed up and took the dog away, which, based on the timing, I think might have been a cat that later joined Clamber Clan. Either way, he's actually been doing really well for his clan this year and working hard. Meanwhile, Crest Valley has been pretty stressed out this year. He got into a fight with a rogue on the border, the same one that later attacked Vinepaw, who had just been causing tons of trouble this year. But Crest Valley was hurt badly. He then later ended up yelling at a lost OceanClan apprentice and bringing them to tears, before finally I realized he has a secret kitty pet mate named Snow, and he's been so stressed because he's losing sleep sneaking out to see them. Speaking of Vine, he finally earned his warrior name at 16 moons old this year, being called Vine Jumble and honored for his courage. Which he definitely earned, as he immediately followed that up by tracking a dog off the territory on his own, before he got attacked by that rogue. A very violent rogue named Plume, who has been an issue this year. Luckpool also earned her name this year at 13 moons old, and was honored for her intensity. She's been questioning her place in the clan recently, breaking the warrior code to eat prey on a patrol and getting caught by Vine Jumble, ending up having to dig a new dirt place, then wondering if it's too late for her to become a mediator after having to chase a dog off with Branch Snarl, And of course, she was meeting up with a cat from Clamber Clan called Howlpaw at night when she was still an apprentice. So I look forward to seeing where their relationship goes. And our last warrior, Dustrump, earned her warrior name at 12 moons old and was honored for her bravery. And I know some people don't like the suffix rump, but I personally think it's incredibly cute. It makes me think of someone who is constantly diving into the worst jobs with enthusiasm. Like flushing out the rabbits or checking badger dens, and thus constantly has a layer of dust on her back where she can't clean. But that's just me. Before the fire, she had gotten her butt kicked in a 2v1 training by Bassfern and Luckpool, which did leave her stewing and upset. But she recovered a bit, managing to save Violet Tuft from a dog. Our only apprentice at the moment is Basil Burr's son, Volpaw, who is being mentored by Talon Nettle, and was actually the one to trigger the fire generator. I didn't write down exactly what his status was that triggered it, but he rolled to only get small burns, leaving patches in his pelt. He otherwise has been doing really well this year, asking Crest Valley for advice and catching a bird on his first patrol. I'm excited to see where he goes, especially since he is a carbon copy of his dad, looking exactly like Daffodil Wing. Into our nursery with Axel and the last of their kits with Jayflit, Tansy Kit, a very respectful little boy who already has a deep respect for Branch Snarl and tattled on Crest Valley for breaking a rule. He's gonna be a Hollyleaf type, I can tell. Axel got a bit of a scar from a rat bite this year before realizing she was pregnant, wanting a big litter, and then quickly being crushed emotionally, losing 2 kits at once. He's clung a bit to their other kits because of this and has mixed feelings about Cotton Kit being chosen as heir, just wanting their last kits to be safe. Also, Axel, who I have been advised probably goes by pangender, is labeled as a queen. Instead of coming up with a non-binary or gender-fluid term for queen or dendad, I decided they're both gender-fluid terms. So, if you're the cat that gave birth, you're the queen. If you're in there to support the one that gave birth or just watch the kittens, you're the dendad, regardless of gender. So, 2 gay boys that get a surrogate, they're both titled as dendads. 2 lesbians that are neutered and can't get pregnant, also both dendads. Does this work? I don't know. Kind of painted myself into a corner with this one, honestly. And here we are for the 3rd year in a row with Basil Burr in the nursery. A part of me wants to turn off her ability to have kits for a little while after this, just to give her a dang break. But also part of me recognizes just how thrilled she seems to be a mother, and I kinda want to see how far this will go, so up in the air for now. She announced them on like the last moon of the year this time, so she was up to a bit beforehand. She was play fighting with Brambleroot at one point, just like old times, then was trading stories with Violet Tuft on one of the few patrols she took, before she woke up one morning and realized she couldn't hear at all. Her ears finally giving out, so she's gone fully deaf. Luckily, I think WinterClan would have had time to prep for this and made some sort of simple kitty ASL to communicate. Daffodil Wing, meanwhile, has been going between being the best dad for his kits and helping out in the medicine den, letting Violet Paw boss him around more than once, and helping Basil gather herbs. But he's been working so hard and is so proud of his kits, though he did wail in grief at Cloudpaw's vigil. And that is all for WinterClan. They definitely feel smaller this year. I am so entertained having a little kid as heir, though, I have to admit. And I can't wait to see how Cotton Kit grows up and handles the responsibility. Until then, into Clamber Clan, with a little animatic first to introduce a moment I've been waiting for. Eat this. Poppy seeds will help you sleep through the pain. Fern just huffs. Thought I should have been healed by now. While Goldstrike scowls in response. Don't huff at me. You're the one that climbed a tree in a rainstorm, then aggravated your back trying to run into the nursery. If you want to heal enough to see your kits become apprentices, sit still and sleep. Goldstrike hesitates leaving the den, considering going back, but in the end he walks away, leaving the medicine den with only Ferntail inside. While Ferntail rolls her eyes but doesn't complain further, eating the bundle of seeds and herbs and closing her eyes to sleep. She doesn't get to sleep. Ferntail is shaken as she's pounced on, her jaw grabbed and forced open. She doesn't see what's being forced towards her mouth, but she smells Shademark and knows enough to fight, thrashing with all her might till she shakes Shademark enough to hit her and make her drop the berries. Ferntail tries to scramble away, but Shademark pins her quickly, glaring at the berries just out of reach, till both their eyes land on a figure at the medicine den entrance. At first, Ferntail is hopeful, until Shademark snarls, "Howlpaw, stop staring! Get in here and help me!" The shaken apprentice, Shademark's apprentice, comes in looking terrified and confused, but ignores Ferntail's begging, cowering under Shademark's demands. "The red berries! Give them here!" Ferntail tries to fight it, lashing out at the apprentice to drive him off, but the berries are passed and pressed into her mouth anyways. Oh boy! Ferntail might not have been our first death of the year, but she is the one we're starting with. We're going a bit out of order this year. As you saw, Ferntail was killed by Shademark and Howlpaw. The reason? Ferntail is the other parent to Shellpatch's kits. I kinda hinted at the possibility with the little clip last year showing pregnancy ignores biology is on. And if I had to explain it science-wise, I would guess Ferntail is secretly trans. But Shellpatch followed in her mother's paw steps way more than I would have liked, since Ferntail actually had some solid dislike for her when they became mates for the sake of their kits. In-game, she died of a broken back, but considering Shademark was caught breaking the warrior code that moon, and all but spit at Ferntail's vigil, I think it made way more sense that Shademark took Ferntail out to protect her sister. I took a long time to consider where Ferntail would go, to StarClan or the Dark Forest. But in the end, she was a terrible person, but never managed to kill or really hurt anyone, and didn't outright abuse Shell like Mossy Needle had to Inkstar. Just tried to use her as some sort of shield. But let me know if you disagree. Spider-Run and Burfleck could absolutely still chase her out of StarClan. We had 3 kit deaths in Clamber Clan this year, all 3 to different sicknesses of sorts. Fumble Spirit was our first, and we sorta saw this coming. She had yellow cough at the end of last year, and it took her basically the first moon of this year at only 4 moons old. After her was Antler Spirit and Cinnamon Spirit, who are both the kits of Shellpatch and Ferntail. Antler Spirit went first at 4 moons old, having been fighting wasting disease since her birth. She had actually been consoling her littermates after Ferntail's death, then was watching her own vigil from StarClan, sadly. A sweet little kitten. Her sister Cinnamon Spirit died a few moons later of kitten cough, literally dying on the morning of her apprentice ceremony. All of their warrior names, had they lived, would have been Fumble Spirit, Antler Flip, and Cinnamon Holly. And the spirit suffix makes this scene so much sadder in my head. Cinnamon Spirit still has 2 living siblings, so the fact their apprenticeship ceremony was mixed with their sister's spirit naming ceremony, it must have been crushing for them. Our next, and most important death of the year was actually Condor Stem, who actually did retire a few moons into the year, but then the very next moon took a walk through the territory and was found dead on the Mimic Clan border along with the bodies of Bloodstar and Swan. There was no predator or unknown cat scent, so the only conclusion is they killed each other. But neither clan can agree who attacked who first, which quickly led to a war breaking out between the 2 clans, each insisting on vengeance for their fallen clanmates. They haven't broken into a full fight yet, but there's been plenty of border skirmishes, and Mimic Clan did attack the camp at one point by setting it on fire, as a fire generator was triggered in Clamber Clan this year too. So the rest of our deaths are caused by Mimic Clan. Starting with Ronnie and Crouch Spirit, both died in a border fight, dying together with only Crouch Spirit's mentor getting away, which sucks because Crouch Spirit had been thriving under Moss Creek's mentorship. Their first patrol, Crouch Spirit managed to have a very successful hunt despite the scorching heat, and had managed to chase a small dog off together. Her name would have been Crouch Feather had she made it to warriorhood, which she was so close to, dying at 11 moons old still as an apprentice. Meanwhile, Ronnie had been spending most of the year around 2 legs, having tried kitty pet food at one point, and though she thought fresh kill was definitely better, she was still thrilled by the experience, and multiple times was humming a 2-leg tune. I wonder if she'd been thinking about going back to her barn before her death. And then there's Frostbite and Grovereed, who died when the fire was set in the camp. The fire actually being set during Grovereed's warrior ceremony. She had been apprenticed to Dark Dawn, managing a successful hunt on their first time out, despite the oppressive heat. She earned her warrior name at 13 moons old and was honored for her equanimity, which, if you don't know what that means, like I didn't, it basically means calm temperament. Frostbite had been having a pretty successful year, actually managing to live through one of those border fights 2 moons before, but because of her injuries, she couldn't run from the camp fast enough to avoid the smoke and the flames. And finally into our living cats with our leader. Inkstar has had a rough year this year, actually getting lasting grief from the death of Condorstem. Now just her and Goldstrike left as founders. Once she recovered, she got chased by a dog until a cat called the dog off. She actually managed to convince the cat to join the clan, so we'll meet them later. Then she tried to verbally burn WinterClan at a gathering, only to be the one to trigger the fire generator in-game, losing a life, burning alive. Then, next moon, she fought and escaped a WinterClan attack on the border, and that with the fire has spurred her into deciding they have to take the fight to WinterClan next year to put a stop to their new leader's bloodshed. So we'll be starting next year with a true battle between clans. And though Inkstar is scared, she's also willing to do whatever it takes to keep her clan, and her daughters, and grandkids especially, safe. Also, if you'll remember last year I mentioned 2 events on the first moon I couldn't go back on. That was actually Inkstar in-game admitting to Goldstrike she was the one that murdered Mossy Needle, which had not happened in-game before, obviously. I just kind of put it together. So I somehow predicted her only telling Goldstrike. I wonder if that's on Inkstar's mind right now. But speaking of predicting, she did have to pick a new deputy after Ferntail's death, and I did guess it, as our new deputy is Dark Dawn. Clamber Clan is my low interaction clan, so I didn't get to choose the deputy. So I somehow predicted this back in year 2. Really been getting hit with that dodgeball of prophecy when it comes to Clamber Clan. The moon before they were chosen as deputy, they had felt like the world was smaller and yearned for something unnameable. I'm not really sure what to make of that yet, and I wonder if whatever they were thinking was disregarded when they became deputy. Even though a few moons later they admitted to Moss Creek they don't feel like a good deputy. But I think they're going to be great. Into the medicine den, where we do still have all 3 from last year. Goldstrike and Egrettail both know about Ferntail's true cause of death. Goldstrike obviously knew it was coming. He'd seen the prophecy, but it was too much for him to deal with on his own, so he eventually broke and told Egrettail what he knows. She'd been trying to help interpret what to do, and the duo eventually decided to wait for now, and just keep a very close eye on Shademark. Both of them had some solid dislike for Fern and love for Shade, so I don't think they plan to do anything unless she continues down this path. They both also got new accessories this year. Egrettail got some pink flowers, and Goldstrike replaced the lavender Sable Chill had given him with sparrow feathers. Safe to say these 2 have gotten incredibly close this year, which has caused a pretty massive rift between them and Io, who's started to feel like an outsider in the medicine den. She'd been trying to impress them on patrols, telling stories about the origin of different plants. But after she realized she wasn't going to be included on whatever was going on between these 2, she just started really hating Goldstrike. She even grew resentful of how much they were doting on Shellpatch in her kits, and has been thinking about ways to bend the rules in recent days. Our first warrior is a new face in clan. Meet Cheshire. She joined during the fire, having previously been a member of WinterClan that was appalled they truly were going to light another clan's camp on fire and potentially endanger kits and elders, coming in to aid Clamber Clan and get the young cats out to safety. Many cats are still wary of her, but she's doing her best to show and be a reliable warrior, even sneaking into a den of sleeping badgers so she could confirm for the clan it still lived there. Mako has been quiet and reliable this year, just trying to help keep the clan running, bringing back a ton of prey after hunting alone, and she even tried to volunteer for guard duty while sick, and then was complimenting Ocean Clan on their fighting prowess, hoping to keep good relations with their other close neighbor. She escaped the fire uninjured, but did end up getting lost in the territory in her panic. And Icy Minnow spent the first part of this year trying to set a good example for his kits. before finally feeling like they were big enough to leave alone long enough for him to join the clan's responsibilities, only to immediately get buried by branches on his first patrol and have to spend all day digging himself out. And then we found out who the mother of his kits is, a Serpent Clan cat named Briar. So turns out Ice Minnow actually used to be a Serpent Clan warrior and has an older litter of kits in the clan. But his mate Briar had started getting into a long-lasting fight with one of the new medicine cats and didn't feel safe having her kits treated by her. So she had Icy Minnow take their next litter and flee to another clan. And this is Soren, who we briefly mentioned earlier. He's the cat Inkstar brought in, the former kitty pet who can speak to dogs. He is very confident, if a bit of a clueless cat, helping bring a lost Mimic Clan Tyro home while in the middle of the war without any warnings or worry or anything. But then he did manage to toss a snake out of camp before it hurt anyone. So I'm glad he's here and excited to see what he gets up to, especially since he's already been given an apprentice. It seems like Inkstar really trusts this new cat. We already saw what Shademark has been up to this year. She's been dwelling a lot on the blood on her paws. She doesn't regret it, and Mossy Needle is obviously thrilled, though he's now been trying to nudge her towards the deputy position, and to focus her anger on Inkstar for choosing Ferntail as deputy originally. She's not sure these thoughts are right, but Mossy Needle is persuasive. She got her leg pretty badly burned in the fire though, so right now her only thoughts are really on recovery and the coming battle. Shellpatch has had yet another rough year this time around. She's only really been out of the medicine den for like 2 moons this year. She was obviously pregnant and nursing this year, hoping for a big litter and having 4 kids, only for Ferntail to die the moon after they were born. She might not have been absolutely in love with Fern, but she did like her and definitely was not ready to be a single mom, only to then lose 2 kits before they even became apprentices. Even when she finally got out of grief, she was instantly bit by a badger, so she is fully on the struggle bus this year. Moss Creek obviously got Crouchpaw as an apprentice this year. They'd chased off a dog together early in the year before Moss Creek was the only one to live through the fight on the border, meaning she watched as Ronnie and Crouchpaw were killed. Once she got back on her feet, she was compassionate to Dark Dawn, assuring them they'll be a good deputy, and she's looking forward to properly attacking Mimic Clan next year and getting revenge for her apprentice. First things first, I got Howl's gender wrong last year. Howlrun is a male. Big boy. My bad. Anyways, Howlrun was Shademark's apprentice, and the apprenticeship was rough. She scolded him for being weak on their first time out, and then of course made him help kill Ferntail, who gave him a scar on his face in her death throes. He was spotted touching noses with Luckpaw from WinterClan later in the year before he earned his warrior name at 13 moons old and was honored for his dedication only the moon before the fire was set and he got his tail burned in the fire. Which I admittedly forgot to draw on his design, so I'll get that next year. Charmuzzle was apprenticed to Mako this year. Lots of new cats getting apprentices, and I'm not sure Mako was up for the job, considering she immediately tried to run an assessment on Charpaw before she'd even taught her anything. So, obviously Charpaw failed. She then got her pelt torn when they were chasing out a dog, and then she finally earned her warrior name at 13 moons old and was honored for her charisma, before fighting off a kitty pet that had actually been defending a dog. Could have had 2 cats that could talk to dogs, but at least Charmuzzle won. And Birchclaw earned his warrior name this year, having been apprenticed to Frostbite, who taught him about 2-leg traps on their first time out. He later led an apprentice-only patrol with his brother and all the other apprentices at the time, where they came back with more rats than they could carry, before he earned his name at 12 moons old and was honored for his enterprise. And speaking of, his brother Rootpelt also became a warrior apprentice, thank StarClan, being apprenticed to Inkstar herself, managing to catch a mouse on his first patrol much to his surprise, Inkstar assuring him he's going to be a great warrior. Which might have gone to his head a little bit, as he was with his brother on that apprentice-only patrol, actually guiding the group to the nest of rats, where, though they caught a lot, he got pretty badly injured. While he was recovering, he convinced Finpaw to do his work for him, never intending to pay him back. And then when he did recover, he spent the night staking out a badger den, earning his warrior name at 12 moons old and rightfully being honored for his hard work. as he then went and immediately herded a dog off the territory on his own. Into the apprentice den with Charmuzzle's sister, Elkpaw, who has yet to earn her warrior name. She had been apprenticed to Ronnie, but the moon before the border fight, Elkpaw had caught a weirdly acting rabbit. Her mouth had started foaming and she'd gotten sick before even getting back to camp. Though she eventually recovered, she was still in the medicine den when Ronnie died, so wasn't on the patrol with her. Moss Creek and Elkpaw bonded in their grief, so when they got out of the medicine den, Moss Creek took over Elkpaw's apprenticeship, but she's still a bit behind her sister. And finally, we have Shell Patch's remaining kids, Finpaw and Burnetpaw, both boys who have only recently been apprenticed. And with the war going on, they haven't done much. Finpaw is apprenticed to Soren, and Soren had taken him out to watch a porcupine for his first time out, while Burnetpaw was apprenticed to Ice Minnow, who had him gather moss, where he was impressed by his gained strength. Both of them thought highly of Ferntail and were sad to see her and their sisters die, but they're doing well now, continuing on with life. Silkblade retired near the end of this year, joining Onyx in the Elder's Den. He'd had a run-in with a dog at the start of the year and got his pelt torn. Then got buried in branches and had to spend all day getting out. After which he finally had to admit he just wasn't moving as fast. So he joined Onyx in the Elder's Den, who herself hasn't done much outside of encouraging her daughter and enjoying her retirement. And that's everything with Clamber Clan. Things are definitely heating up here, between the battle with Mimic Clan next year, the tensions in the Medicine Den, and Shademark killing for the first time. Next year's gonna be interesting. But with mention of Mimic Clan, let's get into our neighboring clans, and oh my gods, I didn't think I'd ever have to change this much in 1 year before. Starting with the new leaders, such as Mimic Clan's new leader, Moonstar. Still with only one life, as is the Mimic Clan way for the moment. She has been doing well as leader so far, and is really hateful of Clamber Clan at the moment. She revered Bloodstar and has no intentions of forgiving the clan who took him away. Ares has actually taken to her very well as well, quickly becoming all but stuck to Moonstar's side. In Serpent Clan, Primstar herself hasn't had much going on this year. She did get a new deputy, but we'll talk about that in the next section. I did, however, have what I swear was an in-game surrogacy/donor situation. As a she-cat named Edelweiss had kits with a Tom, and then immediately got together with that Tom's sister. So in-game, and in my head, he was a donor for his sister, and I think that's great. And Curly Star, he's had a quiet year, though I'm pretty sure he's thankful for the quiet year, considering what drama the other clans are in. His daughter did get taken by Two Legs briefly, but she was found almost immediately the next moon before she was fixed or anything, so overall, a very peaceful year for Ocean Clan. Very peaceful, in fact, as you can obviously see in the deputy section, as Ocean Clan is literally the only clan that didn't get a new deputy this year. All 4 other clans have a new deputy now. Mimic Clan has Flood, Warbler Star's other son, whose brother Swan died alongside Bloodstar on that border. He's just as angry as his leader and ready to shred some Clamber Clan pelts. Then in Serpent Clan, not only do we have a new prophet, a former rogue named Kitty, but as you can see, Holly Branch isn't here anymore. No, seems Primstar's daughter Wolfspots really just couldn't wait to inherit her position, so she went ahead and shoved Holly Branch off a cliff this year. So now we have a murderer as the future leader in Serpent Clan, and Primstar is no spring chicken either. She's about 160 moons this year, so we might have 2 bloodthirsty leaders here soon. And finally, into the one that changed the least, the healers. Trefoil Storm from Mimic Clan has been questioning things, wondering why their leaders get no extra lives while all the other clans do. He's starting to question Mimic Clan's Dark Forest ways, and thus Star Clan cats have been able to start reaching out to him. Including Swan, who resides in WinterClan Star Clan with Warbler Star. So hopefully he can do something about this and maybe get more clanmates questioning their ways here soon. Serpent Clan's medicine cats haven't done too much yet, though I'm not sure about the newly named Wishspark and Blue Hollow. Honestly, none of Serpent Clan's medicine cats seem too interested in actually following any codes. As Conifer Flood has been flirting with Kitty a lot recently, taking after his mentor far too much, and both our new girls have such deep hate for other cats in the clan, I worry they'll murder them here soon. I wonder if the position is cursed or something for Serpent Clan. But at least it's obviously not for Ocean Clan, as, just as I was worrying about our medicine cats being really old, they picked up a new one. An injured former kitty pet named Thunderfleck, who chose to stay in the medicine den after he healed. He is just such a sweet young man, and I am so happy to have him in Ocean Clan. And that's the Wild Territories, guys! 5 years in, and hopefully many more to go. I'll be honest, keeping up with making these has gotten a little bit more difficult as more and more things pull my attention different ways. And this year is looking to be, difficult to draw. I've been aiming for the end of the month, but if next year comes out a bit late, well, there's reasons. Till then, I'll see you all next time.